Hey there, it's Leslie at Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and today I'm going to be making this blue bow cookie. And this bow is the first one of 6 bow cookies I'll be decorating over the next few weeks. So this is my favorite bow of the series, so I thought I would start with this one, and I am using a dark blue royal icing in a 15-second consistency, and I'm just going to outline these sections of the bow, and then I'm going to flood them in with a lighter blue icing, also in a 15-second consistency. So for this bow, there's like a bow behind the bow, and so that's what I'm outlining now is the dark blue bow that belongs behind the bow in front. And that probably didn't make sense, but it will when we're finished. So I'm going to take my lighter blue icing and flood in these sections. I'm going to be very careful not to flood it over the top of the dark blue outline. So I'm going to use my scribe to actually move the icing around inside the little sections and get it out to the edges. And because these sections are little, I'm going to use my scribe to make sure that the royal icing gets all the way down to the surface of the cookie rather than sitting on top so that I won't get any craters later. And I'm just going to do the same thing with these 2 bottom sections of the bow, the tails, flood them in, and then use my scribe to get the icing all the way out to the edges. And then I'll do the same thing for the other tail. And once both tails are flooded, I'm going to set this cookie aside to dry for at least 20 minutes until it's crusted over, and then I'll come back in and flood in the rest of the bow. Okay, so my cookie has been drying for at least 20 minutes, so I'm going to use my dark blue icing again to outline this other section of the bow, and then I will flood it in again with the lighter blue icing. I'm not going to wait for the dark blue outline to dry. I'm just going to be careful as I'm flooding in not to go over the top of it. So we'll have kind of a wet on wet look, and then I'll go ahead and outline it again later. And just like before, I'm going to use my scribe to get the icing all the way out to the edges so it doesn't go over the top of the dark blue outline. And I'll do the same thing for the other bow loop. And then I'll set it aside to dry for at least another 20 minutes before I come back in and do the next layer. So my cookie has actually had time to dry completely, so I'm going to go ahead and scratch in where I want my bow loops to go, and then I'm just going to pipe another bow right on top of this. So I'm going to outline where I'm going to pipe again in the dark blue icing, and then I'm going to just go ahead and flood this in with the light blue icing again. So it's over piping this section and creating a big fluffy bow loop. I'm just going to do the same thing, flood in this section, being careful not to go over those blue lines, and use my scribe to get the icing out to the edges. And then I'll repeat this on the other side and set the cookie aside to dry for at least 20 minutes. Now that my cookie's had time to dry, I'm going to go ahead and flood in the center part of this bow, and then I'll use my scribe to settle that down and make sure the icing gets all the way down to the cookie so there are no craters. And then in another video, I decided to use wafer paper on this cookie, and I've never used wafer paper before, so I'll leave a link. You can catch that video, and that's how I added the measuring tape. But once the cookie was dry, I went ahead and put a belt buckle center here because I kind of wanted it to look like the bow is a belt. This is actually representing a Mary Poppins outfit that she wore in one of the movies. And so I'm just going to make a belt buckle looking like center to the bow here with yellow. And then this bow cookie is done. I did add another wafer paper flower after I was all finished. And again, you can catch that in the wafer paper video. But this is the first bow of a 6-bow series, and I really think it came out cute. It's my favorite one. If you are interested in the cutter, you can get that on my website. Only the STL file, not the actual physical cutter. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.